The crystal towers of Nexus Prime reached high into the purple sky. Inside the largest tower, 12 different alien species sat around a massive table. Each one looked different from the others. Some had scales, others had fur, and a few had skin that changed colors. They all had one thing in common, though. They thought they ruled the galaxy. Ambassador Krell tapped his clawed fingers on the smooth table surface. His green scales shimmered under the bright lights. He was from the Vorthon Empire, one of the strongest groups in the galaxy. Today, he had important news to share with the others. "Friends," Krell said in his deep voice, "we have a problem. A new species has been found. They call themselves humans." The other aliens looked interested. High Chancellor Ethak leaned forward in his chair. His blue skin turned darker, which meant he was thinking hard. Ethak controlled the Dominion, another powerful empire. "Tell us more about these humans," Ethak said. Krell pressed a button on his arm device. A big screen appeared in the air above the table. Pictures of Earth showed up on the screen. The aliens saw blue oceans, green lands, and white clouds. It looked like a peaceful world. "This is their home planet," Krell explained. "They call it Earth. Our scouts have been watching them for some time now." More pictures appeared. These showed human cities with tall buildings. The aliens saw cars moving on roads and planes flying in the sky. Everything looked very basic to them. "Look at their technology," Krell laughed. "They still use wheels to move around. Their fastest ships barely leave their planet's atmosphere." The other aliens started laughing too. General Vex of the Iron Claw, Alliance, made a loud snorting sound. His red eyes glowed with amusement. "Do they even have energy weapons?" General Vex asked. "No," Krell replied. "They still use chemical explosives. Their most powerful weapons split atoms. Very primitive stuff." On the screen, videos started playing. The aliens watched human soldiers fighting with guns that shot metal bullets. They saw tanks rolling across battlefields and jets dropping bombs. To the advanced aliens, it all looked like children playing with toys. High Chancellor Ethak's skin turned yellow, which meant he was getting excited. "How many of them are there?" "About 8 billion on their homeworld," Krell answered. "They also have small colonies on 2 nearby planets in their system. Maybe a few million more there." 8 billion, repeated Ambassador Nexar of the Hegemony. Her voice sounded like music, but her words were cold. "That's a lot of potential slaves." The aliens nodded in agreement. They had done this many times before. When they found a new species, they would either make them join their empires or destroy them completely. It was the way things worked in the galaxy. "What about their defenses?" asked Commander Zephyr of the Star Hunters. His metallic body reflected the light from the screen. Krell smiled, showing his sharp teeth. "They have no unified planetary defense. They are split into many small groups that fight each other. Their space force is tiny, maybe a few hundred small, ships at most." The screen showed more videos of human conflicts. The aliens watched armies from different countries fighting each other. They saw protests and riots in various cities. To them, it looked like chaos. "Perfect," said High Chancellor Ethak. "A divided species is easy to conquer." But far away from Nexus Prime, hidden in the darkness between the stars, Captain Dongmin watched everything through his ship's advanced sensors. His vessel, the Soul's Pride, was completely invisible to the alien scanners. The humans had developed stealth technology that was far beyond what the aliens expected. Dongmin was a tall man with serious eyes. He had been watching the Galactic Council for months. His mission was simple: learn everything about the aliens and report back to Earth. What he was seeing now made his blood run cold. The Council continued their meeting. They brought up more screens showing human military bases and cities. They pointed at weak spots in Earth's defenses. They talked about which human leaders to capture first and which cities to attack. "I suggest we start with their largest population." "Centers," said General Vex. "Fear works best when many can see it." "No," disagreed Ambassador Nexar. "We should target their military bases first. Remove their ability to fight back." High Chancellor Ethak raised his hand for silence. "We will do both. A coordinated attack on multiple targets. Show them that resistance is useless." The aliens spent hours planning the invasion of Earth. They decided to send 500 ships, which was much more than needed for most conquests. They wanted to make sure the humans would surrender quickly. Captain Dong Min recorded everything. His hands shook slightly as he typed commands into his computer. He had to get this information back to Earth as fast as possible. "When do we attack?" asked Commander Zephyr. 6 months from now, Ithak replied. "That gives us time to gather our fleets and prepare for occupation. These humans won't know what hit them." The meeting was ending. The alien representatives started to leave the crystal chamber. They were all smiling or making whatever expression meant happiness for their species. They thought they had just planned an easy victory. Captain Dong Min waited until all the aliens were gone. Then he carefully moved his ship away from Nexus Prime. He had to be very quiet and slow so the alien sensors wouldn't detect him. It took 3 hours to get to a safe distance. Once he was far enough away, Dongmin activated his ship's faster-than-light communication system. It was a new technology that the aliens didn't know humans possessed. The message would reach Earth in just a few minutes. "This is Captain Dongmin of the Soul's Pride," he said into the microphone. "Priority message for Admiral Sora at Luna Command. The Galactic Council has discovered Earth. They are planning a full-scale invasion in 6 months. 500 ships. They expect easy victory. Recommend immediate activation of Protocol 7. He paused, thinking about what else to add. The aliens had no idea what they were getting into. They thought humans were weak and divided. They were about to learn how wrong they were. "Additional note," Dongmin continued. "The aliens underestimate us completely. They think we're primitive. This gives us a huge advantage. Dongmin out." He sent the message and sat back in his chair. Now it was up to the people back home. Earth had been preparing for this day for decades. The aliens thought they were attacking a weak, divided planet. Instead, they were about to face the greatest military force the galaxy had ever seen. Captain Dongmin set course for Earth. His part of the mission was done. Now the real work would begin. In 6 months, the galaxy would learn that humans were not prey. They were predators, and they had been waiting for someone to make the first move. The alien empires had just made the biggest mistake in galactic history. They were about to discover what happened when you threatened humanity's home. Admiral Sora stood in the command center on Luna Base, staring at the message that had just arrived from Captain Dongmin. The large room was filled with screens showing data from across the solar system. Officers moved quietly between computer stations, their faces serious and focused. "General Tai Ho," Sora called out. "We need to talk. Now." General Tai Ho walked over quickly. He was a strong man with gray hair and sharp eyes. He had been planning Earth's defense for 20 years. Like Sora, he had always known this day would come. "They're coming, aren't they?" Tai Ho asked quietly. Sora nodded. 500 ships, 6 months. Dongmin says they think we're weak and divided. Tai Ho almost smiled. "Good. Let them think that. How much time do we have?" 6 months to finish everything, Sora replied. "It's not enough time, but it will have to be." Sora walked to the main communication panel. She pressed several buttons and spoke into the microphone. Her voice went to secret bases all across the solar system. "This is Admiral Sora. Activation code 77 Alpha. All units report to battle stations. Begin Colossus construction immediately. This is not a drill. All across the solar system, things started happening very fast. On Mars, huge underground factories came to life. Machines that had been waiting in darkness for years began working at full speed. The sound of metal being cut and shaped filled enormous caves that no alien scout had ever seen. In the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, mining ships that looked like normal space rocks suddenly opened up. Inside each one was a factory more advanced than anything the aliens had ever built. Workers who had been living in secret for months began building the largest weapons the galaxy had ever seen. Commander Min Su was in charge of the main construction platform hidden behind Jupiter's largest moon. He had been waiting for this moment, his whole life. When the message came through, he gathered his workers around him. "Friends," Min Su said to the 1,000 people working on the platform. "Today we begin building humanity's future. The aliens think they can conquer us. We're going to show them how wrong they are." The workers cheered. They had all volunteered for this secret mission. They knew they might never see Earth again, but they also knew they were building something that would protect their families and friends. On Earth, normal life continued. People went to work, children went to school, and nobody knew that an alien invasion was coming. This was exactly what Admiral Sora wanted. The aliens were watching Earth, and she wanted them to see a normal, peaceful planet. But hidden from alien eyes, Earth was becoming a fortress. Deep underground, massive factories worked day and night. New weapons were being built in secret caves. Soldiers trained in hidden bases scattered across the planet. Captain Yunji commanded one of Earth's defense stations disguised as a communications satellite. From space, it looked like a normal piece of technology. But inside, it contained weapons powerful enough to destroy an entire alien fleet. "Status report," Yunji said to her crew. "All weapon systems online," reported Lieutenant Jin Seo. "Power core is running at 90%. We're ready for anything." Captain Yunji nodded. She looked out at Earth through the station's window. The blue and green planet looked so peaceful and beautiful. She would die before letting aliens hurt her home. Meanwhile, 6 months passed quickly. The alien invasion fleet gathered at a staging point 2 light-years from Earth. Fleet Commander Nextar stood on the bridge of his flagship, a massive ship called the Star Crusher. He was confident that this would be an easy victory. "How many ships do we have?" Nextar asked his second-in-command. 512 ships, sir," replied Captain Vorax. "The largest invasion fleet ever assembled." Nextar smiled. His species had conquered 47 different worlds. Earth would be number 48. "And what do the humans have to defend themselves?" "Our scouts report maybe 100 small ships," Vorax answered. "Nothing that could threaten even one of our destroyers." The alien fleet began moving toward Earth. They traveled through hyperspace, a way of moving faster than light that they thought only they knew how to use. The journey would take several days, but Nextar wasn't worried about anything. He was wrong to feel so confident. Captain Dongmin was watching the alien fleet from his new ship, the Busan Guardian. This ship was much more advanced than his old one. It could hide from alien sensors and follow them without being detected. "Admiral Sora," Dongmin reported through his secret communication system. "The alien fleet is moving. 512 ships total. They'll reach Earth in 4 days." Back on Luna Base, Admiral Sora received the message. She looked at General Taeho and smiled for the first time in months. "Are we ready?" she asked. "More than ready," Taeho replied. "Commander Minsu finished the first Colossus yesterday. The test runs were perfect." Sora walked to the main command console. Around her, hundreds of officers waited for orders. This was the moment they had all been preparing for. "Attention all units," Sora announced. "The alien fleet will arrive in 4 days. All defensive platforms are to remain hidden until I give the signal. All Earth-based forces are to continue normal operations. Remember, we want them to get close." The next 4 days were the longest in human history. On Earth, people went about their normal lives, not knowing that an alien invasion fleet was approaching. But in space, hidden weapons platforms tracked the approaching enemy ships. Captain Yunji watched her sensors as the alien fleet came out of hyperspace near Neptune. There they were, 500 ships spread across space like a dark cloud. Each ship was larger than anything humans had ever built openly. "Message coming in from the alien fleet," reported Lieutenant Jin Seo. "Put it on screen," Captain Yunji ordered. Fleet Commander Nextar's face appeared on the screen. He looked proud and confident. His alien features were twisted into what humans thought was supposed to be a smile. "Humans of Earth," Nextar announced. "I am Fleet Commander Nextar of the Galactic Council. Your planet has been selected for incorporation into our empire. Surrender now and your deaths will be quick. Resist, and we will make you suffer before we destroy you." Captain Yunji looked at her crew. They were all young humans who had volunteered to defend their home. She was proud of every one of them. "Send them our response," Yunji ordered. Lieutenant Jin Seo opened the communication channel. Captain Yunji looked directly at the alien commander on the screen. "Fleet Commander Nextar," she said calmly. "This is Captain Yunji of the Human Defense Corps. You have entered restricted space. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences." Nextar laughed. It was a harsh, ugly sound. "You dare threaten us? You have maybe 100 small ships. We..." have over 500 warships. Surrender now or be destroyed. Captain Yunji smiled. It was not a nice smile. You were warned. What happens next is your choice. She cut the communication and turned to her weapons officer. Signal Admiral Sora. Tell her the aliens have refused to leave. We are cleared to engage. Far away on Luna Base, Admiral Sora received the message. She had hoped the aliens would be smart enough to leave when warned, but she had known they wouldn't. Aliens like these only understood one thing: superior force. All. Units, Sora announced. The aliens have chosen war. Activate all defensive systems. Prepare to show them what humans can do when we're angry. Across the solar system, hidden weapons came online. Secret bases revealed themselves, and from behind Jupiter's shadow, something impossible began to move. The aliens were about to learn that they had made the worst mistake in galactic history. The war for Earth was about to begin, and humanity was ready. Fleet Commander Nextar stood on his command bridge, watching the human solar system through the main view screen. His fleet had moved past Neptune and was heading toward Earth. Everything looked exactly as his scouts had reported. A few small, human ships moved around the outer planets, but nothing that worried him. Begin the attack, Nextar ordered his fleet. Target their military installations first. Show these humans what real power looks like. 500 alien warships spread out across space. Each one was the size of a human city and carried enough weapons to destroy entire mountains. The aliens had used fleets like this to conquer dozens of worlds. They expected Earth to fall within hours. But Admiral Sora was watching everything. From her command center on Luna Base, she stood calmly beside General Tejo, waiting for the perfect moment. Around them, dozens of officers monitored screens showing the alien fleet's movements. They're moving past Jupiter, reported Commander Yujin from her sensor station. All ships are maintaining attack formation. Let them come closer, Sora said quietly. We want them to feel confident. The alien fleet continued toward Earth. They passed through the asteroid belt, not knowing that hundreds of hidden weapons platforms were tracking their every movement. The asteroids themselves had been hollowed out and turned into massive gun emplacements, but from the outside they looked like normal space rocks. Captain Jin Woo stood on the bridge of humanity's greatest secret weapon. The ship was so large that it had its own gravity and weather systems. From outside, it looked like a small moon hiding behind Jupiter. The aliens had scanned it many times, but saw only another piece of rock and ice. Captain, reported Lieutenant Hai Rin from the sensor station. The alien fleet has passed the asteroid belt. They're heading straight for Earth. Captain Jinwoo nodded. He was a calm man who never showed fear, but inside he felt the weight of responsibility. His ship carried weapons powerful enough to destroy entire planets. Today, he would use them to save humanity's home. Send a message to Admiral Sora, Jinwoo ordered. Tell her we're ready to reveal ourselves. Back on Luna Base, Admiral Sora received the message. She looked at the screens showing the alien fleet approaching Earth. They were exactly where she wanted them. Close enough to see what humanity could really do, but far enough from Earth to keep her people safe. All ships, Sora announced into her communication system. Withdraw to minimum safe distance. This is not a request. Any ship that stays too close will be destroyed along with the aliens. Captain Yunji received the order on her hidden defense station. She immediately fired her engines and moved away from Earth. Around the solar system, hundreds of human ships did the same thing. The aliens noticed the movement, but thought the humans were running away in fear. Look at them flee, laughed Fleet Commander Nextar. They know they cannot fight us. He was wrong. The human ships were moving to safety because what was about to happen would be visible from several star systems away. Admiral Sora watched her screens as the last human ship reached safe distance. She took a deep breath and opened a communication channel to humanity's secret weapon, Colossus-1, she said clearly. You are cleared to engage. Show them what humans can do. Behind Jupiter, something impossible began to happen. The space around what the aliens thought was a small moon started to shimmer and bend. Energy readings spiked to levels that broke alien sensors, and then slowly, the greatest weapon ever built began to reveal itself. The Titan's Wrath was 50 kilometers long and 10 kilometers wide. Its hull was made from materials that didn't exist in nature, created in secret laboratories over decades of preparation. Weapons covered every surface, each one powerful enough to destroy a normal warship with a single shot. Captain Jinwoo stood in the ship's command center, a room the size of a football stadium. Hundreds of crew members worked at control stations, spread across multiple levels. The air hummed with energy from the ship's massive power cores. "All systems online," reported Engineering Chief Min Soo from the lower level. "Power output is at 100%. All weapons are charged and ready." "Communications," Jinwoo called out. "Open a channel to the alien fleet." Lieutenant Dae-Yun worked at her station for a moment. "Channel open, Captain." Jinwoo's voice went out across space, reaching every ship in the alien fleet. When the aliens saw the massive human ship on their screens, many of them stopped breathing. "Attention, alien fleet," Jinwoo said calmly. "This is Captain Jinwoo of the human Colossus-Class ship Titan's Wrath. You have been warned to withdraw from human space. This is your final warning. Leave now or be destroyed." Fleet Commander Nextar stared at his main screen in shock. The human ship was larger than his entire command group combined. Its energy readings were off the scale. Nothing like this should have been possible for such a primitive species. "It's impossible," whispered Captain Vorax. "How did they build something like that?" Nextar's shock quickly turned to anger. He had never been threatened by an inferior species before. His pride wouldn't let him back down, even faced with something he didn't understand. "All ships," Nextar shouted into his communication system. "Attack that ship! Destroy it now!" The alien fleet opened fire with everything they had. Thousands of energy beams and missiles flew through space toward the Titan's Wrath. The attack was powerful enough to destroy entire continents, and it lit up space like a second sun. The weapons struck the human ship's shields and simply disappeared. The energy was absorbed and converted into power for the ship's own systems. Not a single shot got through to damage the hull. Captain Jinwoo watched the light show with calm eyes. "Weapons Officer Yu Jin, are you ready?" Lieutenant Yu Jin looked up from her weapons control station. She was a young woman who had trained her whole life for this moment. "All weapons charged and targeted, Captain. Shall I return fire?" Jinwoo nodded slowly. "One demonstration shot. Target their flagship." The Titan's Wrath had many different weapons, but the main cannon was something special. It drew power directly from artificial stars created in the ship's core. When it fired, it released more energy than most real stars produced in a year. "Main cannon charging," Yujin announced. "Target locked on enemy flagship. Firing in 3, 2, 1. A beam of pure energy shot out from the front of the human ship. It was so bright that automatic filters activated on every screen in the solar system. The beam crossed the distance to the alien flagship in less than a second. Fleet Commander Nexitar had just enough time to see death coming toward him. The Star Crusher, his massive flagship that had conquered 47 worlds, simply ceased to exist. The energy beam broke down every atom in the ship, converting matter directly into energy. There was no explosion, no debris. One moment, the ship was there, and the next moment there was only empty space. The alien fleet stopped firing immediately. In the sudden silence, Captain Jinwoo's voice came across all communication channels again. "That was one shot from one weapon," he said quietly. "We have thousands more just like it. You have 30 seconds to withdraw from human space. Anyone still here after that will join your flagship." Captain Dong-min watched from his scout ship as the alien fleet broke apart. Ships that had been in perfect formation just moments before scattered in all directions. Some fled toward the edge of the solar system. Others fired their engines so hard that they damaged their own ships trying to escape. "Admiral Sora," Dong-min reported. "The alien fleet is retreating. All ships are leaving human space at maximum speed." On Luna Base, Admiral Sora allowed herself to smile. 20 years of secret preparation had paid off. The galaxy thought, humans were weak and primitive. They had just learned how wrong they were. "Send a message to all human forces," Sora ordered. "Mission accomplished. The aliens are running and they won't be back." Captain Jinwoo stood on his bridge, watching the last alien ships disappear into hyperspace. The Titan's Wrath had fired only one shot, but that shot had changed everything. Word would spread across the galaxy about what had happened here today. The aliens had come to conquer Earth. Instead, they had discovered that humanity was the most dangerous species in the galaxy, and the Titan's wrath was just the beginning. 3 more ships just like it were nearly finished, and dozens more were being built in secret. The age of human expansion was about to begin. Captain Vorax was the highest-ranking survivor from the alien invasion fleet. His ship, the Iron Fang, had been one of the first to retreat when the human Colossus appeared. Now he sat in the crystal chamber on Nexus Prime, trying to explain the impossible to the Galactic Council. "You're telling us," said Ambassador Krell slowly, "that one human ship destroyed our most powerful flagship with a single shot?" Captain Vorax nodded, his hands still shaking from fear. "I watched it happen. The Star Crusher simply vanished. No explosion, no debris. It was just gone." High Chancellor Wythak's skin had turned a pale gray color, which meant he was experiencing deep shock. His empire had lost 50 ships in the retreat, not from human weapons, but from his own crews pushing their engines too hard trying to escape. "Show us the recordings," Ethak demanded. Captain Vorax activated a holographic projector in the center of the table. The crystal chamber filled with images from the battle. The council members watched in silence as the massive human ship emerged from behind Jupiter like a dark moon coming alive. 50 kilometers long, whispered General Vex. "How is that even possible? Our largest ships are only 5 kilometers. The recording continued, showing the alien fleet's desperate attack on the human vessel. Thousands of energy beams struck the ship's shields without any effect. Then came the moment that made several council members stand up in fear. The human ship's main weapon fired, and the Star Crusher disappeared. "By the ancient stars," breathed Ambassador Nexar. "What kind of power source could fuel a weapon like that?" Captain Vorax turned off the projector. "Our scientists estimate it would take the output of a small star to generate that much energy. Somehow the humans have learned to harness stellar-level power." The chamber fell silent. Each council member was thinking the same thing. If humans could build one ship like that, they could build more. And if they could harness the power of stars, what else might they be capable of? Meanwhile, across the galaxy, word of the human victory was spreading faster than light itself. Trade captains carried the story from system to system. Communication networks buzzed with impossible reports. A primitive species had not only defeated the Galactic Council's fleet, but had done it with technology that seemed magical. On the industrial world of Korath Prime, the hegemony's greatest military shipyard received new orders. Admiral Threx stood before a holographic display showing the human ship's dimensions and power readings. "Double our ship production," Admiral Threx ordered his engineers. "No, triple it. If the humans can build ships like this, we need to match them or become their slaves." Similar scenes were playing out across dozens of star systems. Every major empire was redesigning their military fleets, trying to understand how humans had advanced so quickly. But the aliens didn't know the truth. Humans hadn't advanced quickly at all. They had been preparing for galactic contact for over 50 years. Director Seung-hoon stood in a secret facility buried deep beneath the mountains of Earth. This place didn't appear on any map, and officially it didn't exist. But it was here that humanity's greatest secret had been born. "Sir," said Dr. Hai-Jin, looking up from her computer screen, "our listening posts are detecting massive military buildups across 12 different star systems. The aliens are scared." Director Seung-hoon smiled. He was an old man now, but he had been young when humanity first detected alien radio signals in the 1970s. Since then, he had devoted his life to preparing for this day. "Good," he said. "Fear will keep them from attacking us again. But we can't." "Stop now! How are the other Colossus ships coming along?" Dr. Hai-Jin brought up new displays showing construction progress across the solar system. "Seoul's Vengeance is 90% complete. Busan's Thunder and Ulsan's Fury are both at 70%. We should have all 3 ships operational. Within 6 months?" "Excellent. And the new shipyards?" "Construction is ahead of schedule," Dr. Hai-Jin reported. "The asteroid belt facilities are producing components faster than expected. We'll be able to start building the next generation of ships within a year." While humanity prepared for the future, the alien empires struggled to understand their new reality. Intelligence Officer Chang Ho of the Human Space Command monitored their communications from his stealth ship, the Guangzhou's Shadow. "Admiral Sora," Chang Ho reported through encrypted channels. The aliens are panicking. The Vorthon Empire has recalled all their exploration fleets. The Dominion is building defensive stations around their home system. None of them want to risk another encounter with our ships. Admiral Sora received the report while touring the Titan's Wrath. Captain Jin Woo was showing her the ship's main engineering section, where massive power cores hummed with contained stellar energy. Any signs they're planning a counterattack? Sora asked. No, ma'am, Chang Ho replied. If anything, they're moving their fleets further away from human space. 3 empires have established new defensive lines at least 50 light-years from Earth. Captain Jin Woo looked pleased. Fear is a powerful weapon, Admiral. Sometimes it's more effective than any gun. Sora nodded. But we can't rely on fear forever. Eventually, one of them will develop courage or find allies. We need to be ready. She was right to be cautious. In the depths of space, far from human sensors, a secret meeting was taking place. Representatives from 7 different empires had gathered on a hidden space station. We cannot face the humans individually, said Commander Yalax of the Star Empire, but together, we might have a chance. What are you suggesting? Asked General Corvin of the Iron Worlds. A new alliance, Yalax replied. Pool our resources, share our technology, build ships that can match human power? It's our only hope. The other representatives looked interested but worried. They had been enemies for centuries. Working together would not be easy. The humans have shown us what's possible, said Admiral Zelkor of the Crystal Federation. If a primitive species can build ships like that, imagine what we could create with our combined knowledge. Back on Earth, Captain Min Ho of the Exploration, Vessel Jeonju Pioneer was preparing for humanity's first major expansion mission. His ship was one of the new generation of vessels, built with technology learned from the Colossus project. Navigation Officer Da-eun, Captain Min Ho called out. Set course for the Kepler system. It's time to establish our first colony outside. The solar system. Lieutenant Da-eun worked at her controls for a moment. Course plotted, Captain. Travel time at maximum speed will be 3 weeks. 3 weeks to cross 30 light-years, Min Ho mused. Our ancestors would have thought that was impossible. The Jeonju Pioneer left Earth's orbit quietly, traveling faster than any alien ship could match. Its destination was a system that had been claimed by the hegemony for 200 years, but the aliens had abandoned it when they learned about human capabilities. Colonial Administrator Ye Rim was aboard the ship, along with 10,000 volunteers ready to build humanity's first interstellar colony. They carried with them the technology, and knowledge needed to terraform an entire world. Are you worried about alien resistance? Ye Rim asked Captain Min Ho as they entered hyperspace. No, Min Ho replied confidently. Our intelligence reports show that system is completely empty now. The aliens fled when they heard about the Titan's wrath. He was right. When the Jeonju Pioneer arrived at the Kepler system 3 weeks later, they found abandoned alien facilities and mining stations. The previous occupants had left so quickly that they hadn't even taken their valuable equipment. This is almost too easy, Ye Rim commented as she looked at the scans of the 3rd planet. Perfect atmosphere, abundant water, and the aliens even left us their terraforming equipment. Word of humanity's successful expansion reached other alien empires within days. Fear turned to panic as they realized humans weren't just defending themselves. They were expanding, taking territory that had belonged to other species for centuries. The galaxy was changing, and everyone knew it. Some empires tried to build alliances against humanity. Others attempted to create their own super weapons. A few even tried to make peace with the humans, hoping to avoid conflict entirely. But deep in human space, Admiral Sora was planning the next phase of expansion. Captain Jin Woo stood beside her in the war room, looking at star charts that showed potential colony sites. 12 more systems, Sora said, pointing at various locations on the map. All abandoned by their previous owners. We can establish a ring of colonies around human space within 2 years. And when the aliens try to reclaim them? Jin Woo asked. Sora smiled. By then we'll have 20 Colossus-Class ships instead of just 1. Let them try. The galaxy had wanted to conquer humanity. Instead, they had awakened something far more dangerous. The age of alien dominance was ending, and the age of human expansion had begun. And somewhere in the darkness between stars, the next generation of human superweapons was already taking shape. 1 year had passed since the failed alien invasion of Earth. The crystal chamber on Nexus Prime looked very different now. Where once 12 proud species had plotted humanity's conquest, now they sat in frightened silence around the same table. Today, they were waiting for Earth's first ambassador to arrive. Ambassador So Young walked into the chamber with confidence that made the aliens uncomfortable. She was a small woman compared to most of the council members, but her presence filled the room. Behind her walked 2 human guards in advanced armor that the aliens couldn't understand. "Honored representatives," So Young said as she took her seat at the table. "I am Ambassador So Young of the Human Federation. I believe we have much to discuss." High Chancellor Ithak's skin had turned a nervous yellow color. His empire had lost half its territory to human expansion in just 1 year. 3 of his core worlds had simply been abandoned when human colony ships appeared in those systems. "Ambassador So Young," Ithak said carefully, "we welcome you to the Galactic Council. Perhaps we can find a peaceful solution to our current situation." So Young smiled, but it was not a warm expression. "Peaceful? You sent 500 ships to conquer my home world. You plan to enslave my people. Now you want peace?" The alien representatives shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Ambassador Krell's scales had turned a pale green, which meant he was feeling sick with fear. "That was a misunderstanding," Krell said quickly. "We were not properly informed about human capabilities. If we had known, you would have sent more ships," So Young finished. "We know exactly what you would have done. We've been listening to your communications for decades." This was news to the aliens. They had thought their communications were completely secure. The idea that humans had been watching them for so long was terrifying. "What do you want from us?" asked General Vex, his red eyes dimmed with defeat. So Young stood up and walked to the center of the chamber. "What I want is simple. The galaxy needs new rules. The age of conquest is over. The age of cooperation begins now." She pressed a button on her wrist device, and holographic displays appeared around the room. The aliens saw star maps showing the current state of galactic territory. Large areas that had once been controlled by various empires were now marked as human space. "As you can see," So Young continued, "humans now control 47 star systems. All were taken peacefully, from empires that abandoned them rather than fight us. We've established colonies on 68 worlds." The numbers were staggering. In just 1 year, humanity had built an interstellar empire larger than most alien civilizations had managed in centuries. "How is that possible?" whispered Ambassador Nexar. "It takes years to establish even one colony world." "Not with human technology," So Young replied. "Our terraforming systems can make a world habitable in months, not decades. Our construction methods can build cities in weeks. We are very efficient. Captain Minho had proven this efficiency when he established humanity's first colony in the Kepler system. What should have taken years of careful planning was completed in just 6 months. The colony was now home to 500,000 humans and was producing its own ships and weapons. Colonial Administrator Yerim had done the impossible. Her teams had turned a barren world into a garden planet using technology that made alien methods look primitive. Other human colonies were following. The same pattern across dozens of systems. But the aliens' greatest fear wasn't human expansion. It was the ships that protected those colonies. The holographic display changed to show the current human fleet strength. "Currently," So Young announced, "humanity operates 4 Colossus-Class ships. The Titan's Wrath, which you've already met, plus Sol's Vengeance, Busan's Thunder, and Ulsan's Fury. Each one is more advanced than the last." High Chancellor Ithak felt his heart skip several beats. 4 ships like the one that had destroyed their invasion fleet. "Where are these ships stationed?" "That information is classified," So Young replied. "But I can tell you that any empire which threatens human territory or human citizens will discover their location very quickly." The truth was even more frightening than the aliens imagined. Captain Jin Woo now commanded a small fleet of Colossus ships from his flagship. The Titan's Wrath had been upgraded with new weapons that could destroy entire fleets with a single shot. Admiral So-Ra had positioned the 4 superships at strategic points around human space. Any alien empire that tried to attack would face overwhelming firepower before they could reach a single human world. "What about our existing territories?" asked Commander Zephyr. "Will you take those as well?" So Young sat back down and looked directly at each alien representative. That depends entirely on your behavior. Species that cooperate with humanity will keep their worlds and might even benefit from our technology. Species that threaten us will lose everything. This was the new reality that the aliens were struggling to accept. For thousands of years, they had been the dominant forces in the galaxy. Now they were at the mercy of a species they had dismissed as primitive just 1 year ago, but some empires had chosen to resist rather than submit. In the Outer Rim, 7 different species had formed an alliance against humanity. They called themselves the Liberation Coalition, and they were building ships designed to fight the human Colossus vessels. Intelligence Officer Chang Ho monitored their activities from his stealth ship. Admiral Sora, he reported. The Coalition has completed construction of their first superweapon. It's called the Galaxy Destroyer, and it's almost as large as our Colossus ships. Admiral Sora received this news while inspecting humanity's newest secret project. Hidden in a gas giant's atmosphere, human engineers were building something that would make the Colossus ships look small. How long until they attack? Sora asked. Our estimates suggest 6 months, Chang Ho replied. They're gathering their fleets near the Vega system. Sora looked at the massive construction project taking shape around her. Perfect timing. The Inchan's Revenge will be ready for deployment in 5 months. The Inchan's Revenge was humanity's answer to any future alien threats. At 100 kilometers long, it was twice the size of the original Colossus ships. Its weapons could destroy entire star systems, and its defenses could withstand attacks. From dozens of enemy fleets, Captain Jae-hoon had been chosen to command this ultimate weapon. He was a young officer who had proven himself during the colony establishment missions. Like all human ship commanders, he had trained his entire life for this responsibility. Weapons testing will begin next week, reported Engineering Chief Won-bin. We're using an uninhabited star system for the trials. The main cannon should be capable of destroying planets from several light years away. Back on Nexus Prime, Ambassador So Young was finishing her presentation to the Galactic Council. The alien representatives sat in stunned silence as they absorbed the implications of what they had heard. The human position is simple, So Young stated. We will defend ourselves and our allies against any threat. We will expand into uninhabited or abandoned territories, and we will not tolerate aggression against human citizens anywhere in the galaxy. And if we refuse to accept these terms, asked General Vex, So Young stood up to leave. Then you will discover why empires flee at the sight of our ships. The choice is yours. As she walked toward the chamber exit, her communication device chimed with an incoming message. She read it quickly and smiled. Oh, one more thing, So Young said, turning back to the aliens. I've just received word that our newest Colossus-Class ship is entering this system for a diplomatic show of force. You might want to look outside. The alien representatives rushed to the crystal chamber's windows. In the distance, they could see a new star appearing in space. But it wasn't a star. It was the Inchan's Revenge, its engines glowing like a small sun as it approached Nexus Prime. The ship was so large that it blocked out several actual stars. Its presence warped space itself, creating visual distortions that hurt to look at. This was power beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. My God, whispered High Chancellor Ithak. What have we awakened? Ambassador So Young heard the question and decided to answer it. You tried to conquer a species that had been preparing for war since before your grandparents were born. You attacked people who had already survived the worst their own planet. Could throw at them. You threatened the children of a species that had clawed its way to the top of the food chain on a death world. She paused at the chamber door and looked back one final time. You didn't awaken anything. You simply revealed what was already there. Humanity has always been dangerous. We just kept it hidden until someone gave us a reason to show it. 5 years later, Captain Dongmin commanded the exploration vessel, Daejeon's Hope, as it charted new regions of space far beyond the old galactic borders. Behind him followed a fleet of human colony ships, protected by 2 Colossus-Class vessels and dozens of smaller warships. The galaxy had learned to fear and respect humanity in equal measure. The Liberation Coalition's attack had lasted exactly 17 minutes before the Inchan's Revenge destroyed their entire fleet. No empire had dared to challenge humanity since then. Instead, alien species competed to form trade partnerships and defensive alliances with the Human Federation.